everybody. Welcome back to another action-packed episode of A Work in Progress. I am your host, Brent Piles, and with me, as always, is my tag team partner, my co-host, my friend and cohort from across the ocean and from the future. He is the Ballroom Brawling Dynamite Stretch. Let's try that again. He is the Ballroom Brawling Dynamite Stretch. Intercontinental Playboy, folks. He's more over than, I don't know what he's more over than, but he's more over than me not knowing my own fucking words. AJ Russell, Glenn Abbott. Glenn, how are you?
I'm good, thank you, considering
that I just watched your intro?
No, considering the football on Sunday. But I don't want to really talk about that because I'll get upset with people. Yeah, and not with the team.
Well, I mean, so I guess there is one thing that I will address from this Sunday's loss to Manchester United. It has nothing to do with anything that happened on the field. If you're a person who wants to get on to social media or wherever and, send hateful things, not to the person that you're mad at, but to their wife. If you want to do that, you are a terrible fucking person. You're not a supporter of any team. You don't support anything. You're an asshole. We don't want you. We don't want you as a supporter of Arsenal. We don't even want you to be a member of this fucking society on earth. Go fuck yourself. That's the only thing I wanted to say.
Because I agree with every word of that, and I was going to put it a little bit stronger. So
you were going to put it stronger than that?
I was. No, I'm not. No, they're just scum. I don't want to address it.
Yeah, like you said,
as you say, they're not supporters. They don't even support human behavior.
Yeah, you don't. Yeah, you're. I don't know what happened to you over your lifetime that somebody hurt you, and I am sorry that somebody hurt you, but that doesn't mean that you get to be a shitty person to other people. That doesn't give you the right to be a fucking terrible person.
And don't you think it's the internet that's caused this?
It's always the internet that caused this
because these people wouldn't walk up to people in the street and say it to their faces. Yeah. Because they'd be too frightened to get punched in the nose.
It's the old thing of social media has made too many of you far too comfortable with disrespecting people and not getting fucking punched in the mouth for it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's that anonymity thing. And that's easy to say.
Yeah, it's easy to be a tough guy or whatever you want to be when you're talking through a computer screen. Very easy to do that. It's very much more difficult to back it up in real life. So, but that's all we'll say about the football. We're looking toward tomorrow and the North London Derby against Tottenham, and we'll move on from there. But I guess let's make a little bit of an announcement here. I know you guys wrestling. I know you guys have come to enjoy me and Glenn's 1998 review show, but I don't know if people have heard this, but in Glenn's neck of the woods, everything on WWE Network, it is no more. They've moved it all over to Netflix, and in my neck of the woods, they've only moved Raw over to Netflix, and I say moved over to Netflix very loosely because they haven't moved shit over to Netflix, except for the past 3 years. There are currently 20 episodes of Raw.
I think we've actually got more Raw than you have at the moment.
Yeah, I know. I think you're right. I think you do. Yeah, literally 98 has 20 episodes right now, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
And so me and Glenn have decided
between them and Peacock.
Yeah. So me and Glenn decided, since we're not going to be able to review 98 Raw until they start putting more of those up, we're going to shift gears and we are going to start reviewing Monday Night Nitro, right, Glenn?
That is correct.
We're not going to start from the original air date of Nitro in 1995 because, as I told Glenn, unless we're going to watch it in a fucking, a joking fashion, I am not interested in covering WCW 1995 because it's not worth it.
That's something to watch with the mayor. That's nothing. Exactly. That's not for us.
So what we're going to do is we're going to start from the day that Scott Hall showed up on Nitro, which I think is like May 27th, 1996. And so we're going to start from that episode of Nitro. We're going to start reviewing. And even when they do start to get more of the Raws on Netflix, me and Glenn agreed that we're going to start doing 1 week we'll do a Nitro review and the next week we'll do a Raw, and we'll kind of alternate weeks. is what we're going to
start. Until we run out of nitros.
Yeah, until we get to the state of Nitro where it gets really, really bad again, and it's only worth watching with the mayor. So,
yeah, that's right.
So we'll go until
we've got a couple of years of it.
Yeah.
We've got a couple of good years of it.
So be on the lookout for that. We'll start with that next week, reviewing some WCW Monday Nitro. So,
talking to the mayor, I'm sure we'll be talking about this more with him. But I don't know if you watched Raw last night, but it was a banger.
The only thing I've seen is the very opening segment with CM Punk and Seth Rollins. Otherwise, I haven't seen anything.
Yeah, that set the tone for the night. The promos were good. The matches were great. Well, good to great.
Yeah.
It was only 2 3/4 hours. It
Perfect.
seemed a lot shorter than Smack. And the other good thing over here is, I was telling you about, we get this thing up with SmackDowns where it comes back that normal service will be resumed as soon as possible, and they play like elevator music.
Oh, yeah.
During the adverts. Well, they don't do that with Raw. They just skip them.
Oh, well, that's nice.
So we actually get to see bits that the American audience don't get to see.
Well, that's
unless they're skipping the ads on American Netflix as well.
I can tell you that I have the Netflix with ads, and they do have ads on there. I don't know if you have it without ads, what's going.
Yeah.
Judging from what I've seen, people complaining about people who have no ads, complaining about the ads, I'm going to say we get ads.
Yeah, because I've got that complaint about SmackDown, but not with Raw. I thoroughly enjoyed Raw last night. It went, it starts at 1 o'clock in the morning, and normally by 2:30, 3 o'clock, I'm done with it. But I watched it all, and then I watched the main event again this morning just to make sure I didn't miss anything.
Beautiful. It's a street fight, right, between Damian Priest and Finn Balor?
It was.
Okay, after we get done with this, I'm absolutely going to go up there and try to get eyes on the full episode of Raw so we can talk about it with the mayor this evening when we discuss that with him. For this week, Glenn got to pick our pay-per-view of the month, and I know normally we do these like at the very end of the pay-per-view of the month or the very start of the next month, but since we didn't have any Raws to review, Glenn got to make his selection. Which one did you pick for us this month, Glenn?
I picked No Way Out 2004 with Eddie Guerrero versus Brock Lesnar as the main event for the World Championship.
I'm assuming that you picked this one because it's sort of like a Road to WrestleMania show, and we're on the road to WrestleMania now, or is there some other reasoning behind it?
No, the reasoning behind it was I hadn't seen it in its entirety.
Okay.
I'd seen the Eddie Brock match in bits, but I just thought it would be an interesting one to watch in its entirety. And yes, I was right in places.
I mean, in a way, this is the perfect show for a work in progress because there is some bad wrestling on here and some silly, ridiculous stuff. But all in all, I thought it was a really good, easy to watch show. Okay, I'll take back really good. It was a good, easy to watch show. And just like you, I had seen the Lesnar Eddie Guerrero match, but I've never seen this full card in its entirety. So definitely something I would say any wrestling fan who wants to consider themselves like a historian of wrestling, I think should go back and have a look at this show for me.
Yes. Yeah. This definitely fits under the category of good, bad, and ugly.
100%. Yeah. I can't argue that with you. Yeah. So No Way Out, February the 15th, the day after Valentine's Day of 2004. It took place at the Cow Palace in Daly City, California. The Cow Palace, located near San Francisco, opened in 1941. Most notable for featuring shows ran by promoter Roy Shire, who ran cards from the early 60s until 1981, with shows headlining by such stars as Ray Stevens, Pat Patterson, amongst others. Other notable cards include Super Brawl 97, 98, and 2000, This is the only WWF pay-per-view to ever take place from this arena. And this was a SmackDown exclusive pay-per-view and the last pay-per-view before WrestleMania 20. They didn't waste any time getting to the heat of the show, did they, Glenn?
Yes, as you say, they got down to it right at the start.
They really did. Sable and Corey.
Yeah. My God.
Then they didn't even show like a video or a pyro or nothing. They just immediately showed two hot chicks in black dresses on the way to the ring.
Just send those two out there. That'll warm the crowd up. And it certainly did.
Yeah, so
there were so many innuendos in that little skit.
100%. Apparently, they had just graced the cover of Playboy recently. Creepy, gross stuff those two were into. God, I'm going to try not to because that's fucking disgusting. Yeah, basically they just welcome everybody to the show, and that's it. We don't see anything from them. And the first match is very interesting stuff here. It is a handicap match for the WWE Tag Team titles, and we've got the Tag Team Champions, Too Cool, not that Too Cool. It's Rikishi and Scotty 2 Hotty, and they are taking on the Bashams, and the Bashams have a tag team partner who is also apparently their manager / dominatrix. What's her name, Glenn?
Shaniqua.
Wow.
Yes. Wow.
Goddamn! We can call her Shaniqua. No, we can't.
And not in a good way. Wow, either.
No, a terrible wow. And when I saw this come through the curtain, Glenn, it made a lot more sense to me why they wanted to put Sable and Tori out there first.
Yes.
Because this wasn't going to warm up the crowd.
No. Oh, dear.
I don't know.
Same could be said about the match, really.
Yeah.
Was it going to warm up the crowd?
Yeah, I wasn't really watching WWE around this point. I think I went to I absolutely went to a Hooters and watched WrestleMania 20 with somebody that I worked with. And that was the last wrestling show I watched up until WrestleMania 24, I think. Or no, it was Royal Rumble 2008 is when I came back. So I was gone.
That is a dedicated wrestling fan that you went to a Hooters to watch wrestling.
Yeah, we don't even have a Hooters in town anymore. I mean, that was the only place to watch it back then. You either had to order it or you had to have like a friend who watched it. Watch wrestling too. There wasn't like a network. I wasn't going to pay $50 for it. So we went to Hooters and had fucking bad food. And I had some guy try to tell me repeatedly that he met Rick Steiner. I'm like, fucking great, dude. I don't care. You know me already, Glenn. Like I don't like other people and I don't want them to talk to me. So just leave me alone.
Yeah.
And I've always been that way. I didn't just develop it.
Yeah. I can watch the wrestling or watch the women, but leave me alone.
Yeah, but don't talk to me. Yeah. So I don't know much about the Bashams or Shaniqua, but I can tell you that she's a sturdy girl, that's for sure.
She's definitely sturdy, yeah.
They beat me up. I wouldn't fight her.
You can see why they did the gimmick of the dominatrix for her, can't you?
Yeah, I can see it.
There were times, if I remember rightly, at this time, earlier on in the, must have been 2003 when they first introduced them, and she had them in gimp masks and on bloody leads with collars around their neck and all sorts of things. It wasn't good.
What a weird gimmick. It was like they took the demolition thing, but they took it too far. You know what I mean? It was like
that's exactly.
Face paint on. These guys got a safe word and leashes.
Yeah.
Look, this match doesn't have a whole lot to it, and there's not a lot to take notes on. Too Cool retains the belts after Rikishi hits a bonsai drop on Shaniqua. I did find out some interesting notes about Shaniqua. Glenn, do you want to hear about that? Hear them.
He did tell me these interesting notes.
Okay. So Shaniqua,
he did not squash her, didn't he?
He He really did. So Shaniqua, a.k.a. her real name is Linda Miles. She originally played college basketball at the University of Rutgers and even had a tryout with the WNBA, but did not make the team. And she was on the second season of Tough Enough, where she was the winner of the second season of Tough Enough alongside Jackie Gata. I believe Jackie Gata was married to Charlie Haas at one point, but that's all I know about her. And honestly, and the funny thing is, Glenn, this was her very last WWE appearance. After this, she was sent back to the OVW and then released in November of 2004. And nowadays, Glenn, after leaving pro wrestling, she began a career as a college basketball referee. In fact, Glenn, just this weekend, she reffed a women's college basketball game between the University of North Carolina and Boston College. So she's still working today as a college basketball referee. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Yeah. Good for her.
Yeah. And those girls, they're not going to be that much bigger than her. So they're not going to intimidate the referee, are they?
Yeah, they're going to be intimidating her or pushing her around. That's for sure. No way. But yeah, I thought that was interesting that she's now a NCAA referee, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's good. Good for her.
I was not surprised to find out that she played college basketball because I could have told you that before I even looked it up. She looks like a basketball player. So
yeah, she does.
Yeah. The crazy thing about this, Glenn, is we get 2 matches in a row with something that I don't think you'll see on WWE TV nowadays, which is intergender wrestling. And that we got 2 intergender matches in a row on this show.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. And the second one was even worse than the first one.
Yeah.
I know you like Jamie Noble, you said. But sticking a hood on his head and having him chase. That was her name. I can't think.
Nydia.
Nydia, that's it.
Yeah.
Nydia. Around. There was a bit of comedy in it. But I've seen better blindfold matches.
I mean, yeah, it's definitely not.
It was just an excuse to do that spot where he grabbed her boobs, I think.
Yeah, I mean, this point right now in 2004, they are totally doing the weird, and they're still totally doing the weird sexual innuendos things. Apparently, Jamie Noble got a bunch of money left to him from some family member that died. He said Nydia spent up all the money. Then she got shot into her eyes by Tajiri, so she was blind for 2 months. I fucking swear to God, I ain't making this up. This is literally what happened. And then Jamie Noble wants his mink coat back that he bought for Nydia, but Nydia won't give it back to him. And then she throws it through a wood chipper, which I found to be strange. Because why wouldn't you just fucking keep it? Why would you throw it through a wood chipper?
Yeah.
What's wrong with you?
Chipper. Yeah, I thought.
Yeah, this is.
He looked impressive though. All the bits of coat flying around with all the wood.
Yeah, I mean, that was cool. I mean, this is another one. Like, I mean, I guess like Jamie Noble's good for a nice little funny haha role, but this is just a bunch of silly nonsense.
This would go down as an ugly.
Very, yeah. Last match would have just been bad, and this is downright ugly.
This is down ugly. Yeah. I told you the first 2 matches you will be cursing me and wishing that I hadn't picked.
Yeah, Noble ends up winning. He gets a submission hold on Nydia after he he picks the blindfold up and looks around to see where she is. She's on the top rope. He grabs her, chucks her off, puts her in some fucking hold, and he's the winner. Yeah. If you're gonna go back and watch this, just fast forward until you get to the 3rd match.
Yeah, and even that's not brilliant. This could have been such a good match.
Because they didn't give it a whole lot of time.
No. And what was the idea of having Farouk in that sort of that comedy arm brace thing?
Was he in an arm brace?
Yeah,
Bradshaw, you mean?
Oh, Bradshaw, that was it.
Yeah.
Farouk. Bradshaw.
Okay.
Yeah, apparently he was supposed to have done something to his shoulder.
Yeah.
And then he comes out with his arm all bandaged up.
And his bicep, too. It wasn't his shoulder. It was like here, which was the
right. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, this match, it's the world's greatest tag team versus the APA. This is really like a speed versus power, muscle versus finesse sort of match because, I mean, I'm not going to say that Shelton Benjamin and Charlie Haas aren't strong individuals because they are, but when you look at them as like wrestling, you don't really think of them as like the power team. You think of them more as like a finesse quick team, even though they can overpower probably anybody out there. I mean, Shelton Benjamin, for crying out loud, is a heavyweight wrestler. He used to wrestle with Brock Lesnar. He could tie you in a fucking knot. Anybody he probably wants to, still to this day in 2024. So I can imagine what he would do in 2004. So, I mean, this match was, it was a breath of fresh air compared to what we had been looking at, but it was still under 5 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. Not good enough to be good, not bad to be bad, and certainly not ugly.
Yeah, just kind of there.
It was just one of those. It was a nice little filler.
I think it could have been a lot better because you got two, like the World's Greatest Tag Team is really up and coming team at this point, but APA is like a veteran team. And I really think that these two kind of oil and water could have had a much better match if they would have been given, 6-7 more minutes. And I really think that they could have had this match go longer and either cut out one of the first two silly matches or cut out the match after this one, which we'll talk about, because the one after this one got more time than this did, which didn't really make a whole lot of sense to me because that match felt like it was more just randomly thrown on the pay-per-view. You know what I mean?
It certainly was. Apparently, talking of the next match, it's Hardcore Holly versus Rhino. And it was put on the card on Heat.
Oh, so the show right before the show?
The show right before the show. They announced this match. So yes, it was
should have just fucking thrown it off the show and made this tag team match longer.
Yeah. Unless Bradshaw was actually injured and they couldn't go longer.
That could very well be. I mean, the finish comes when Bradshaw hits a clothesline from hell on Charlie Haas, but Charlie Haas wasn't the legal man. Shelton Benjamin hits the super kick, pins Bradshaw. It's really more about what happens after the match, and the reason why we're going to talk about this is because it plays into what goes on in the main event. So let's talk about it. In the video package to open the show, they showed us that Stone Cold Steve Austin has given Goldberg a front row seat to this pay-per-view, and after this match, they show Goldberg making his way into the arena. The backstory of this is, in the 2004 Royal Rumble, Brock Lesnar cost Goldberg the match by going in there and tossing him out. And so now Goldberg's looking for revenge on Lesnar, but Lesnar's on SmackDown, Goldberg's on Raw. Goldberg apparently had just been suspended. Heyman comes out there, who is the SmackDown general manager this time. He's like freaking out, says, Goldberg, got to get out of here. What do you think you are? Eventually, Brock Lesnar comes out. He starts like taunting Goldberg. Goldberg does eventually get into the ring. They have a little bit of a fight. He spears Lesnar, and then the cops come and they take Goldberg off to the slammer, right? So he's gone. He'll never be back, right? Because he's in jail.
Can I just say, the guy that put Goldberg in handcuffs couldn't have been older, rounder, and shorter if he had tried. There was no way that he was a copper.
Yeah, he's lucky that Goldberg went willingly because he wasn't going to get him on him.
No,
absolutely not. But yeah, we get into it. It's Hardcore Holly versus Rhino. Hardcore ran down and tried to attack Brock after the whole thing with Lesnar. Like I said, match felt like it just got thrown on the card because they needed to have another match. I mean, it was a decent match. Neither one of these guys is going to win a personality contest, but they're both solid wrestlers. But at the same time, there was nothing to get behind because if there was like a backstory between these guys, they didn't tell me anything about it. So I didn't care.
No, nothing at all. That's what I've got in my notes. If there was any need to add this match, especially for 10 minutes, then it was just It's ridiculous. It was a filler, and that was it. And it could have been done in 5.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, take this match off
They
the show.
Yeah, they could have just had Rhino squash Hardcore Holly. He wouldn't have done either of them any harm.
But then I would have had to listen to another chapter in Hardcore Holly's book about how he had to get squashed by Rhino and he should have been the world champion. So I'm glad you did.
All right. Okay.
It did look like Rhino was going to win, and then like Hardcore Holly hit the Alabama slam out of nowhere, and he gets the pin. So,
yeah.
I guess I don't know.
I don't know how. But it was fairly obvious that Rhino had to put himself jump up,
right,
for Holly to do the Alabama slam. That is not a move that you do on a big guy like Rhino to win a match.
Definitely not something you're going to try to do to Rhino. And like every other match on this pay-per-view, even the matches that we thought were stupid, they showed us a video package of why these people are in a feud. So that was nice. So because it tells you a story, and I can get behind it because I know what's going on and what the story is. They didn't have any video package for this. Yeah. It was just like, well, here's Rhino versus Hardcore Holly. They fought last week, and now they want to fight again.
Yeah, cool. That is exactly it.
So why should I care? The next match, now this was a banger of a match. Chavo Guerrero Jr. battles Rey Mysterio for the Cruiserweight Championship. This was a great one.
This is my match of the night.
Fucking same, Glenn. I didn't think you would agree with me, but I agree. I thought this was the best match on the show.
They're unbelievable. They mat wrestled. They did high-flying lucha stuff. They were just great. And I loved every minute of it.
I mean, I haven't watched a lot of WWF Cruiserweight division stuff, but I would venture to say that this is probably the most well-done Cruiserweight Championship match that was ever produced in on WWE TV. And I know that, like, WCW did some great stuff with Cruiserweights. WWE, not so much. I don't think they ever took it seriously.
God, let's face it. How many have we watched between 97 and 98? Yeah, it was just Taka Michinoku and a few friends thrown in.
Right. And they'd get 4 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so this was a definite breath of fresh air.
Yeah. Chavo had just recently turned heel by like turning on Eddie Guerrero. And that was another thing. Like Rey Mysterio had an old boxer, Jorge Paz was with him, and then Chavo Guerrero Sr. was with Chavo. And they weren't out there for very long. I think the boxer guy punched Chavo, and then they were gone for most of the match until the very end. So that was nice to kind of get the riffraff out of the way. And then, like, you had some interference, but it wasn't overtly done. It was perfectly done. It was a nice chef kiss. It didn't take anything away from the match. It added to the match. And like you said, this match had high-flying stuff, mat wrestling stuff, good storytelling, everything that you would want in a professional wrestling match. This had it. It was great.
Yeah. It was, the win was just Chavo being a Guerrero.
Yep.
Cheating and stealing.
Yep. That's exactly what he did. Yeah. Lots of good stuff in here. The match started off slow. Rey Mysterio looked like he was going to win it early. He goes for the 619, but Chavo Guerrero Sr. breaks it up. That's when he gets punched by the Jorge boxer guy. I'd never heard of that boxing guy in my life. I had no idea who he was.
Oh, I had.
You had heard of that guy?
Yeah. I think he fought Barry McGuigan in one fight. He was Mexico's big. Yeah.
I mean, I assume since he was with Rey Mysterio. Yeah, one of the best cruiserweight matches we've ever had. The ending comes when Chavo Guerrero Sr. does come back down to the ringside. He knocks Rey Mysterio off the top rope, and then Chavo rolls him up using the tights for the 3 count and the win. Definitely best match on the show. Everything you'd want in it. And I mean, if you're going to get Chavo Guerrero and Eddie and then, Chavo Guerrero and Rey out there together, you're going to get magic most of the time. So certainly got it there. And then we go to something that like has potential to be good, but it fell a little flat for me. The Big Show versus Kurt Angle versus John Cena. The winner will face the WWE champion at WrestleMania.
The floor is yours, sir. being the big John Cena fan.
So the first thing that I noted from this is like it's really funny to me because if you like fast forward in WWE lore, probably a year from now or a year and a half from now, it's definitely 2 years from now, people did not like John Cena, or he got like a very mixed reaction of like boos and cheers. Again, especially if you go to WrestleMania 22, they hated him there. Nobody cheered for him. They were cheering for Triple H, who hits people with the sledgehammer and is the biggest heel in wrestling at this point. So I thought it was funny that like rapper John Cena getting just nothing but positive babyface reactions from the crowd. And you fast forward to like 2 years later. And I think it just goes to show you like the fickleness of wrestling fans. How we are really we love you today, hate you tomorrow, motherfuckers. We really are. Most of us really are.
And it's still going on today. You look at the reception that Roman Reigns got when he came back, and they were booing him out of the building a few months ago.
Yeah, exactly. So that was the first note that I took. My major problem with this match, and it makes you feel better about triple threat matches nowadays, is this is total cliche WWE triple threat match where it's supposed to be 3 guys in the ring, but for 99.8% of it, it's 2 guys in the ring while another guy takes a piss break, and it's just annoying, and it takes everything away from the match for me.
Yeah. Big Show seemed to be taking more time sleeping outside the ring than anybody else.
Well, I guess out of the 3, he would have to be the one. He would want laying outside, right? He's going to need the breather. Yeah, so could have been a better match, but I think it was all lost on me until about the last 4 minutes is about the only time where it got good, because that was the only time where all 3 guys were actually in the ring.
And it's where Kurt Angle came into his own, really.
Yeah, it's when he went like fucking, super Kurt and just was throwing everybody around, locking everybody in submissions and suplexing everybody. That was really the best part of the match. Was probably the last 4 minutes. All 3 guys were hitting big moves, finishers. Nobody get the pin or submission. Kurt finally makes Cena tap out with the ankle lock, so he's going to be going to WrestleMania to face the WWE champion. I guess for the 2nd year in a row, because the year before he had faced Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. So, like I said, you got 3 legends of wrestling in there, but the match just didn't hit for me. I know Glenn probably feels the same way.
I certainly do.
So there we go. We're here. It's the main event, Glenn. Eddie Guerrero battling Brock Lesnar with the WWE Championship on the line. The pop that Eddie, when the Viva la Raza hits and the pop that he gets, I'll watch that 1,000 times and I'm going to get goosebumps every single time, just because the pop that it gets and just like the thoughts and memories of Eddie Guerrero, it's always going to give me a little bit of chills every time I see that. Just hearing that music at all, like that first, Viva la Raza, whenever you hear that, it gives me goosebumps. Like when Ray came out with it a couple years ago at WrestleMania, it just, I don't know, it hits for me. And it was a really cool moment to relive.
And the thing with this is they protected the hell out of Brock Lesnar as well. In the first 5-6 minutes, Brock nearly killed Eddie.
Yeah, he was overpowering
and
him.
Then
like
Eddie managed to get. Oh yeah, but as you do with a monster, you find a weak point, and Eddie gets his leg and wraps it round that post, and of course there comes the face comeback. But Brock was still throwing him around, but Eddie had a comeback to it, and any time that Brock got him into a submission hold, Eddie was managing to bash his knee or smash his knee. And of course,
the thing about Brock Lesnar is if you go back and look at his runs, his best matches come against guys who you would consider to be smaller than him. And I know everybody's smaller than Brock Lesnar, but I mean like much smaller than him. I mean, he has great matches with Seth Rollins, Finn Balor. He had a great match with Rey Mysterio. I just think that it better suits Brock's style of wrestling to have a smaller guy in the ring as opposed to a giant with him. You know what I mean?
Yeah. He had a good match with Sammy.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, he has good matches with smaller guys, and I think he has his best matches when he wrestles smaller guys. And I think this is where the first time that you really saw it.
That's right. Well, they were just, up to this point, they were just treating him as the beast.
So, yeah, I mean, it's a really good match. Brock goes for a running knee in the corner, but Eddie moves, smashes his knee on the top turnbuckle, spills all the way to the floor. Of course, so then Eddie works further on the knee. We come down to the end. He hits the three amigos. He goes for the frog splash, but Brock moves out of the way. And I thought that Taz and Michael Cole did a good job on commentary, especially selling that once Eddie missed that, did the three amigos and then missed the frog splash. They were really sold it well of like, well, that was his best chance, and now there's no way he can win. They did a great job, now. I thought. On commentary. They did. So then Brock ends up picking up.
Can I just say, when we're talking about them, I actually thought that they did a really good job on commentary for this whole pay-per-view.
I always thought that Michael Cole and Taz worked really well together on commentary. I always thought that they were a good team. Because, like, they can do silly stuff, but it wasn't too much silly stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's it.
And I think Taz is I don't know. I guess he's good on commentary depending on where he works. I guess is how I'm not trying to like disparage like TNA or anything, but I didn't like the way he did commentary when he was with. I mean, I'm not trying to disparage AEW because I know he's done some stuff with AEW. I'm saying when he was in TNA, I didn't like his fucking commentary either. So it has nothing to do with AEW.
No.
But yeah, so Brock ends up getting Guerrero up for an F5. He, of course, hits the referee with Eddie's legs. He does hit the F5, but there's no ref to make the pin. Goes outside, grabs the ring belt. Looks like he's going to hit Guerrero with the Undisputed Championship belt. But that's when Goldberg has somehow escaped from prison. And now he's here. Escaped from Alcatraz, swam across the bay, spears Brock Lesnar out of his boots, then leaves the ring. Eddie tries to pin him, but Brock kicks out.
I thought that was brilliant as well. That Goldberg didn't help Eddie.
He didn't. No,
he just wanted to get his hands on Brock.
And the funny thing is, like, if you ever look at any highlight package of that match, it's going to make it look like, he came in, speared Brock, Eddie hit the frog splash, Eddie wins. That's not what happened.
No,
because Eddie had to do a couple more things because Brock kicked out.
Yeah, that's right.
So I think a lot of people, if you've never watched the match, I think a lot of people just think that that's what happened, but that's not what happened.
No.
Yeah, he tried for the pin. Brock kicked out. Eddie then grabs the belt. Looks like he's going to hit Brock with it, but then Brock ducked under, goes for another F5, and then Guerrero does an amazing counter out of the F5. DDT's Lesnar on the championship belt, heads to the top rope, hits the frog splash, ref crawls over. One, two, three.
And the roof comes off the building.
And Eddie Guerrero is the new undisputed champion. I wrote down Universal Champion, but it is undisputed champion, not the Universal Champion.
And the roof came off the building.
Yeah, it blew off. Yeah.
That's how you want to send people home from a pay-per-view.
Yeah, and then you got, 5 or 6 minutes of the feel-good celebration with Eddie celebrating with the people in the crowd and going around hugging everybody. And it was just, that's one of those feel-good, great WWE moments that you never are going to forget. You know what I mean?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, so a great ending to a so-so show, I would say.
Yeah, yeah. For 3 matches, you've got to give it 1 thumb.
I would say for 3 matches, I would give it 2 thumbs. But then when you put in the rest of the stuff, you drop one
then
thumb
it's got to be
off
1 thumb. That's what I meant for the 3 matches. Because the others, there's one that's a minus.
Yeah, there's one that takes it away. Yeah, definitely. And the triple threat match, it wasn't bad, but it could have been a lot better. And when I look at that on paper, I go, "Ooh, that'll be fun," and then it just wasn't.
Yeah, if you're just reviewing that on its own, that's a middle.
Yeah,
So you got 2 down, 1 really down, 1 down, 1 middle, and then 3 ups.
Yeah, exactly. So I would definitely say it's a 1 thumb up show, and it's kind of like a so-so. And if you're gonna go back and watch this, absolutely skip the first 2 matches.
Yeah,
you could skip Rhino versus Hardcore Holly too if you wanted to, but it's in the middle, and it's not really a bad match. It just doesn't feel like it needs to be there.
But it's made me want to watch whatever WrestleMania number it
is in
2004. WrestleMania 20.
Well, WrestleMania is coming around. We always pick an old WrestleMania to review, so maybe it'll be WrestleMania 20. Yeah. Maybe.
I bow to your superior knowledge on what the number is, but yes, I would like that if you could do that.
We'll definitely look into WrestleMania. The WrestleMania 20 is tough because the ending of it is hard for me to watch because it's the whole Chris Benoit wins the championship and is celebrating in the ring thing. And I can usually watch Chris Benoit and kind of separate it, but because they do the whole, I don't think this is probably on the the DVD version, but he brings his family into the ring and it's just hard to. That one's too much.
They must have taken that out by now.
I would think so. But that's it for No Way Out 2004. Anything else you want to put on here, Glenn, before we wrap this thing up?
No, let's get it wrapped up.
All right, who do you want to plug? We're going to get
out of here. I'm booking the territory, doing the first and last of wrestling. There's side projects Unstacking the Territory, which will be coming soon to a podcast supplier of your choice. I'm booking the Tankatori, the Life and Times of Tank Abbott. That's in their archives. Being Elite Golf, they just finished up Series 3 of that. And, of course,
the Doctor Who Podcast with Danny Inside. That's on SJP World Media.
And DDT Wrestling with DC and Doc.
Make sure you give all those fine people a follow and to listen to. And, of course, check out the third member of our podcast team. Give him a follow on X. He is at Mayor of Canton. I don't think he does a meal with the mayor anymore, but he might. You never know. So follow him and see if he does. If not, he's a funny guy. Follow him anyway. Make sure you check out everything else we got going on. We got a review of First Raw on Netflix that's up right now, and we'll have a new episode of The Life and Times of Psycho Sid up later this week. That's it. Be on the lookout for the WCW show, which we will be recording next week. I don't think I have anything else to say. I think that's all. Glenn, how about you tell the people goodbye?
Goodbye.